Hi, Carl Lanning, Brazos River Charter School with This Week in History, specifically the week of March the 1st through 7th. Well, last week, take a look at this gentleman, Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, born March the 2nd of 1904. He is the most successful children's book author in the world ever, period, hands down. His publisher, upon noticing that there were so few children's books, period, plus ones that were actually worth reading, challenged Seuss, gave him a bet, betting that he could not write a story using just the 256 words in the first grade reading vocabulary list. The result was the Cat in the Hat. He then challenged Seuss that there was no way he could write a coherent story using just 50 of those same words. The result was Green Eggs and Ham. After he died, I'll never forget, Jesse Jackson appeared on the Weekend Update section of Saturday Night Live and did one of the most magnificent eulogies. He read Green Eggs and Ham on air as only a black Southern Baptist preacher could possibly do. It was absolutely magnificent. I thought it was a really hilarious and moving tribute to Dr. Seuss. But what I mentioned last week is how Dr. Seuss helped win World War II. Well, turns out that Dr. Seuss, along with some other pretty heavy hitters in the world of animation, Chuck Jones, Friz Freleng, as far as the voices go, Mel Blanc, came together to produce cartoon training films, as well as cartoon training manuals. A character they created was Private Snafu. Now, Snafu is actually an acronym. Situation normal, all fouled up would be the clean version. There are various different tweaks on that, but anyway, these training films, along with the comic book style manuals, were highly successful. You have to understand, a lot of these young men were coming out of the Great Depression. They had to quit school fairly early to go to work and support their families. And so the comic book style really worked well for them. Plus, it was a lot more fun, wasn't nearly as dry. If you ever get a chance, these are all public domain now, I urge you to check it out. They're definitely not rated G. There's a little bit of language here and there, and some cartoon nudity too, as a matter of fact. But we're fighting a world war, and we're trying to keep these guys' interests, so well, I guess you do what you have to do. Anyway, so there we go, Dr. Seuss. On March the 2nd of 1750, Benjamin Franklin wrote to a friend describing his creation of the lightning rod, and this is believed to be an original Ben Franklin lightning rod. The design called for the tip to come to a point. He even designed some that he said were like a pig's tail, that it would better draw the lightning that way. Over 2 decades later, though, King George III, during the American Revolution, King George III almost laid entire personal blame for the American Revolution on Ben Franklin himself. And George III committed one of the most magnificent acts of petty spite that I've ever heard of. He issued an order that all lightning rods throughout the British Empire, since Franklin said they should be pointed, will be rounded, or a ball at the end of it. There are no records of exactly how well this order was carried out, but he did actually issue it. So that is petty spite, I would say. Moving on. James Doohan, March the 3rd, 1920, James Doohan was born. Doohan, of course, best known to Trekkies like myself as Scotty from the Star Trek series. You might ask, why bring up a supporting actor from a 60s television show? Well, Scotty actually did some interesting stuff before he became Scotty. On D-Day, June the 6th, 1944, he was part of the 14,000-strong contingent of Canadian troops that came ashore on Juno Beach. He was part of an artillery unit. He was a lieutenant. During that time, he led his men safely through a German landmine field. He personally took out 2 snipers, as well as cleared out a machine gun nest. He was then wounded 6 times by machine gun fire while he was on his way back from a night reconnaissance. It was probably friendly fire. He was hit, 4 times in the leg, once in the chest. The only thing that apparently saved him was a silver cigarette case that his brother had given him, and the middle finger on his right hand was blown off. So Scotty was quite the soldier. Then, finally, on March the 1st of 1936, Hoover Dam was completed. Amazingly, for a government construction project, it actually came in under budget and under time by 2 years. I'm not sure when the last time that happened was, but I'm guessing it's probably been a while. There are all sorts of statistics on how much concrete, etc. One is that a 2-lane highway, a foot thick from San Francisco to New York, and I don't doubt that that's incorrect. It's a massive, massive dam. However, there's one that is wrong. There were 96 construction-related fatalities. However, there are no bodies in the concrete, actually. It would have been rather impossible. The way the concrete was poured was basically wedding cake style, sort of the layers and such. Neither one of these were any more than about 3 feet deep. So there's not really any way you could have gotten buried in it. And plus the engineers, there is no way they would have allowed it because it would have created a weak spot in the dam. So that one we have to throw out. The Depression era project, though, paid relatively well. 50 cents an hour to $1.25 an hour. And this was pretty good money for the mid-1930s. But it is important to remember that Hoover Dam was a Depression era project. Not only was it there to provide water and electricity, but also jobs in private construction and related industries. What they didn't want were the young men working on this to be going to Las Vegas and spending their money gambling and in brothels. So a town was built nearby called Boulder City, and is still there today. This is downtown Boulder City, and the one thing that you might notice from the picture is there's nothing about gambling, nothing about the loosest slots in town. Boulder City is one of only 2 cities in the entire state of Nevada in which gambling is not legal. And it's because it was next door to the Hoover Dam construction project. The other one, by the way, was founded by Mormons, so that kind of explains that one. Well, that's it for this week in history. We'll just let you know what's coming up. Next week, we'll find out why there's a bowling alley underneath the White House. I'm Carl Lanning, Brazos River Charter School, and we look forward to seeing you right here next week.